I want to introduce the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jungmann. But before I have him come up, I want to let you know that over the last 4 years, I've been sitting across the desk from principals in various schools. I've got to meet teachers, and I've got to work with various leaders in the admin office. And one thing I've come to find out that under his leadership, there are tremendously loving, kind, dedicated people who really love children and really want to see families whole and healthy. And so that's why I'm so excited about this partnership opportunity. And I want to give a few minutes for Dr. Jungmann to share his thoughts.
Thank you so much, Russ, and thanks to all of you. Ken said it very well. We appreciate your partnership and we appreciate your support. But most of all, I want to start with what you just said there. Our team appreciates your prayers, right? So we have an incredible group of faculty and staff, 3,500 plus full-time employees that come to serve our 25,000 kids every day. And we cannot do the work on our own. We need support. And the number one thing that I can tell you from my perspective is your prayers are powerful. I can tell you from a first-year teacher, and I didn't teach in Springfield Public Schools, but I started teaching in a small town, Lamar, not far down the road, hour and a half down the road. You've probably heard of it. But nothing was more powerful to me at that point than knowing that I had a prayer partner from a local church that was trying to support me in my start in a career because it was tough work. And we got a lot of tough work to do in our system, and your prayers can lift us up. So number one, thank your congregations. I've had an opportunity for my first 3 years to be in multiple different churches, speak, have opportunities to engage in lots of different ways. And every time I'm there, your congregations are praying for our staff and for our people and for our leaders that are trying to move this work forward. So thank you for your prayers. They're powerful and they're making a difference in our community. I want to give you a little bit about SPS by the numbers, just to give you a sense of the scope of our work. So 25,000 kids is what we serve every day. In the summer, we serve a few less, but we serve more than we've ever served before. Almost 12,000 students actually come to explore as we've ramped that up. So 25,000 during the regular school, over 12,000 during the summer months. We also have about 54% free and reduced. So of those students, a little over half qualify for free and reduced lunch. Now that's not a full poverty metric, but it's a metric that gives us an idea of those that are struggling with resources and need some government assistance. And we're happy to provide that because that's meals for our kids. It's hungry bellies that come and they can't learn if they don't have those initial needs met. So 54% of our students qualify. We have more than 50 schools. We have 35 elementaries, 9 middle schools, 5 high schools, plus multiple different alternative sites as well as choice sites. So we are spread across a big community. So there are lots of opportunities to engage. I would also tell you that if we think about just the building that you're sitting in today, you're at Williams. We serve 330 students in this site. On this site, that free and reduced rate goes to 95%. So the system system average is 54%. Elementaries are much higher. Kids are more likely to report at that time. And certain areas of our community, the intensity obviously, or the amount is intensified. And this is one of those. 95% of our students qualify for free and reduced. We also here at Williams, and this is common in some of our areas, have a high mobility rate. I want to clarify for you what that means because sometimes it's misinterpreted. And I want to make sure we understand. 98% mobility at Williams, okay? Often that's interpreted that 98% of the students turn over. That's not the case, okay? We also have an 88% stability rate. So 88% of the kids that walk in at the beginning of the school year finish the school year at Williams. 12% turn over 10 times. Right, so we have a fraction on the fringe that just turn over and over. So 12% of the seats turn over multiple times, creating a 98%. So we have this churn, right, of a small population, but we have stability. right? So I don't want you to get the impression that the neighborhoods are so unstable that 100% of the kids roll over every day, because that's not the situation. But we have a lot of churn in our high poverty schools. If we go to other schools, that stability rate's going to be more like 98%. And that churn rate's going to be 10 to 12%. But in high poverty areas, we do have that turnover rate or that mobility rate that moves. But to the main point, we have a lot of people that are here on a regular basis all year long, start their careers and end their careers in this school. And one of the things that we need most for them are mentors. Right? As we talk about the needs, and I'll talk about so many of the things that we are working on. We have a $300 million budget, so we supply a lot of resources. Most of that goes to staff. 80% of our dollars go to staff to support our kids. And then the other 20% pay the light bills, bring the food in, provide the resources, the curriculum, and the content, and try to meet some of the mental health needs, some of those other things that are definitely growing. Big needs that our community is helping us meet, health and hygiene, food insecurity. We've had such a ramped up move to meet food insecurity that we've made great progress, and you guys have been a great partner in that work. We're making great progress. We meet a lot of immediate needs, whether that be shoes, whether that be dental work, whether that be eyeglasses. Our community really rallies around those things. But when we think about what's next and what the opportunities are, we actually put in a position when I started this in this district 3 years ago because of the excessive need. Marty Moore is our Executive Director of Learning Support and Partnerships, and her job is to help align community resources with the needs of our schools. And we use a book often in our system that I've used with a few of our leaders that helps us identify talents and strengths. And one of the things, it's called How Full Is Your Bucket? It asks us to do is to think about reversing the golden rule. And what's the golden rule? The golden rule is treat others like you want to be treated. Unfortunately, others don't want to be treated like you want to be treated. They want to be treated like they want to be treated, right? And we try to apply that to the same thing when we think about giving and meeting the needs of our kids. Don't meet the needs that you think they have, meet the needs that they have. And as I worked in this system, we have a lot of people trying to meet the needs that you think they have or that we think they have, but we haven't listened to our kids and our community enough to understand their needs. So we've tried to reverse the golden rule when it comes to aligning our resources, and that's Marty Moore's job. Unfortunately, she's at a wedding for one of her kids and wasn't able to be here today, but she's been a great partner of Russ in organizing this and wants to be the conduit between your congregations and Elevate Lives to our kids. And the key thing that we need is alignment at this point. That's when our community can accelerate the opportunity to meet the needs of our kids. And that alignment is going on. She is doing a wonderful job of understanding from site by site, the needs are different, community to community, the needs are different. And we have a matrix of trying to understand what the major needs are, and we can connect you and your congregations with the needs of those communities. So it's not a random guess, or it's not what you think they need, it's what they have told us they need from their parents and from the staff and from the kids that are in our schools. The number one thing to that point is what I mentioned earlier, mentorship and buddies with our kids. Right, so if you think, we call them reading buddies and mentorship. The 88% of kids that are stable here are from free and reduced homes where they may not always see a career choice as a future. They may not see a stable economic environment. They don't have models to replicate. You can provide awesome models for our kids. That's the hardest thing to provide. A relationship is the hardest thing. It's a lot easier to provide money in a backpack. I understand that, and we need those things. But as you think about how you can change the lives of our kids and our schools, the number one way you can do that is with your relationships. You have access to more people than I have access to when it comes to adults and significant adults that you can change the lives of our kids. So think of that. As you think about how you can serve our kids and we start to show you what our needs are, I would ask you to really think about alignment, and I would think about relationships. Those are the things that we believe will change the game for our kids and our families and our communities as we try to meet the needs of this community. And we are so appreciative for all you've given so far and what you will give in the future. Thanks for being here at Williams, and thanks for what you've done and what you will continue to do. Thanks, Russ.